word is we have a very special hot topic to talk about today. So let me turn it
Yes,
over to you, sir.
that's true. Yes, today's sponsor spotlight hot topic is also about the Shellz Orb NFT project, which just this past month successfully sold out 8,000 NFTs in pre-min in 2 hours at 0.89 ETH each. Bear market be damned, and there is another 1,000 more to come. We are fortunate to have the founder and creator, Jamieson Hill, here today to talk about the collection, its history, and where things go from here. Jamieson, welcome to Edge of NFT. And I feel like you have an answer to that question, what candy flavor you'd keep if you could. Do you have that? Did you think that through?
I was always a fan of the sour things, so like anything sour. So I remember, they like if you had sour Skittles, there was this white powder that came on them that was the sour piece of the powder, and so I would say like anything sour.
All right.
And I think it's also translated into later in life too, liking these sort
Mhm.
of sour types of tastes.
Nice, nice. All
You're
right, great.
talking my language with the sour lollies.
All right. Can you give us a little bit of background here on your story and how you find a way to just blockchain and NFTs in general?
Yeah, so I met up with a guy named Robert Menendez in like 2015. He started a company called Vest, and they were just sort of trying to build stuff in the blockchain, and really like back then it was like sort of figuring it out. Fast forward to the start of the pandemic, Clubhouse. I was hanging out on Clubhouse in Bitcoin rooms, teaching people how not to get rugged, how what a hardware wallet was, etc. And right around that same time, a buddy of mine, started talking about the Beeple drop, and so we started like commingling these two blockchain types of things. Fast forward a couple months later, I started working for this company called Milos, which is a company founded by one of Binance's lead investors, doing music NFTs, and I sort of helped them bring some artists and produced some of their first music NFT drops for Trey Songs, and also David Bowie, which was pretty cool at the beginning of last year, or I'm sorry, the tail end of last year.
Very cool.
Yeah, man. So yeah, all kind of quick happenings here as the NFT space has evolved so quickly as well, right? And man, you guys have really brought something interesting with Shell's Orb. So please like tell us a little bit about it, man. What's the story there?
Yeah, so essentially, like about a year ago, we started to create this idea to do a PFP project. Originally, it was to sort of raise money to do a film, and then we broke away from that and just decided, like, hey, we're going to create this sort of this digital art NFT company um, around. And so we had a bunch of ideas, and we were sort of like building our community. And then around January, we acquired an artist called Voyager, who was on Magic the Gathering, League of Legends, and he was Adobe 25 under 25. He submitted a piece of concept art to us, and we started like sort of sending it around to like our friend group and groups and Discord and whatnot, and everybody's like, "Yo, that shit's fucking dope! Like that is dope." And so essentially, we took this art, and then we were like, "Okay, we're going to build an NFT out of it." And then it was like, "Oh wait, how long is this going to take to make?" And we were like, oh, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time. Each one of our pieces of art takes about 20 hours to draw. So if you can imagine, one character has 10 layers per attribute. That could be a month-long process to sort of come up and concept that artist. So we quickly built up an artist roster. And at the end of it, we had about 8 artists, including, like part-time people, animators, assistant colorists, and whatnot, and sort of built out a studio. And we ended up becoming the highest quality hand-drawn generative art project to ever hit the Ethereum blockchain, or any blockchain that I know of. We're about 280 gigabytes on IPFS, 3500 by 3500 PNGs at zero compression. And yeah, we sort of came at this thing, you know, obviously we built all through the bull market, and then we rode the bull market all the way down. And you know, we ended up selling out in the middle of August, like in the, you know, just this like crazy bear market where 5 other projects that day failed to mint out, and we ended up, you know, selling out in just under 2 hours with, you know, crazy velocity towards the end of our mint, like,
Yeah.
you know, 100 transactions per block or something like that, right when we sold out.
Right.
Um, and and yeah, so you know, we sort of ended up here as somewhat of a unicorn. A lot of people are kind of saying in the NFT space, which is a very interesting position for us to be in.
Yeah. Can you expound upon that? I mean, you know, can people take out their notebooks? Like, how did you end up selling that out? And you had a pretty recently formed team and all of this stuff in a bull market. What do you think were some of the secrets to this sauce?
Yeah, so selling out a project in the bear market, for one, we focused on being best in class. So we had a product that was undeniably like number one, the best. Like there's like we just went overboard, you know. 6 months, 8 artists, like nobody else really does that, that's doing hand drawn. And it's very hard to find these types of artists. You know, a lot of people can do 3D now, but nobody does hand drawn. So from the very beginning, we had, and every one of our, like, you know, our sort of our community members, they knew that what we were going to put was going to be the best thing possible, and so they were always waiting. They were patient. You know, we've been building, you know, the main community since for about 6 months before we launched, and nobody was like, when mint. Everybody's like, yo, chill out, guys. Y'all mint when you mint. We know it's going to be dope. We love the art. And so for the one thing was like building a community of core people that actually loved what you were doing. The other thing was, you know, we didn't have a pedigree. So, you know, there was no Bored Apes on our team. There was no Doodles on our team. We didn't have, you know, any real fancy advisors or anything. You know, I lived in New York City, so we had a couple of guys that maybe like worked on Wall Street, you know, giving us sort of like business advice, but nobody that was really like super duper Web3 heavy, or had crazy NFT launches backing us. But what we did was we had passion, and we activated people that became really passionate in the project, and we attracted team members that were incredibly involved in building and wanted to build something big. And with these people, we were able to, or with these team members, we were able to do about 200 collaborations or 250 collaborations in those 6 months that we built. With the bulk of that being in the last like about 2 months, I would say.
And if I could just say, you know, like, not working with artists, you know, like I commend and applaud you, because it is you know, quite a journey to work with them, and to produce like top quality stuff is yeah, it's just such a good way to do it in this NFT space.
Yeah, no, it's been a really wonderful journey getting to, you know, employ these people. And I got lucky. Voyager, our lead artist, he sort of manages the team, and he's kind of like the head guy. And, you know, also, you know, one of the things about building art is art has to be kind of consistent, and all artists have different styles. So he was the one that kind of normalized that and taught his style to everybody else. So at the end of the day, nobody really knows that there was 8 artists working on this project unless you sort of went and you read it, because it all looks very, very similar. But yeah, it's definitely. I got lucky in preparation for building this thing. I watched a keynote with Sid Meier's, and he talked about working with artists, and he said the way that we work with artists, or the way that I've learned is best, is you put them in a very big box, and then you let them go. And then when they come back, they deliver something that you didn't even imagine was possible. So that's sort of the philosophy that we went with.
Yeah, I love
Great
that.
analogy.
Yeah.
Man, and so many of the things we've been talking to Dan about, you know, right throughout the episode around community and tenacity, and just that core, you know, value in the art itself, and why that's valuable to collectors, right? The authenticity that goes into it, man, so cool. But also like distribution is important, and you know, have this partnership with Binance NFT, right? Also, and would love to hear about that.
Yeah. So the company Milos that I worked with, they were, you know, in collaboration with Binance, and you know, they launched on the BNB chain. So at Consensus this year, I got introduced to the Binance NFT team, and they told me about a new product that they were launching. Right now, they have a centralized exchange, which means, you know, you can trade Ethereum NFTs, but you basically send your NFT into their contract, and then they can be, you know, sort of traded off the books, or, you know, in a centralized manner. But they told me about this decentralized exchange that they were sort of building, which is going to be something of the likes of OpenSea. And so I came up with this idea. I'm like, well, if you're launching this, this is going to be big. This is going to, you know, really open up the Eastern market. Our art is Eastern focused. If we could be the first NFT project to launch via this exchange, via this brand new product, that could be really big. That was the idea. Then I started telling it in like AMAs to alpha groups, and they were like, holy shit, like that actually is really a big deal. Like, you could be the first one. That's history. That's groundbreaking. And so it turns out, you know, CZ and all the guys over at Binance, like, they haven't put out this decentralized exchange yet, but they were supposed to put it out on August 10th. That's when we minted the pre-sale. And eventually, whenever Binance actually launches this project, we will be still the first project to launch on there, and hopefully, you know, bring a lot more eyeballs, just because it's you know, it's the biggest marketplace in the world, and they've got so many other people to share this love of art and collectibles with.
Yeah, kudos. Awesome.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, and so we've talked about it. It's worth talking about. There's kind of a story here, and you've got this burgeoning partnership with the Nice brothers. They produced the Umbrella Academy on Netflix, and you know, there's some work to produce your story. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we actually just yesterday finalized the deal, verbal finalization. Now it goes to the lawyers for paperwork and whatnot. But we've you know, come up with all the terms, and so the Nice brothers came on. They're you know, two guys. They're rooted in sci-fi, fantasy sort of worlds, and they're you know, they're connected with all sorts of peoples. I think right now they're on a Kevin Costner film in Utah, helping him with what he's doing, you know, after Yellowstone and whatnot. Now he's building this crazy Western. So they're really creative guys. And we actually, you know, we formed a deal to bring them in to build out the entire world and to build out the entire ecosystem of what we're going to be building. We're not just necessarily a Web3 company. What, you know, we want to do is basically tackle all aspects of entertainment, with the goal of putting Web3 in, you know, at an arm's reach of almost everybody. And basically, you know, through traditional media like animation and games, bring more people into our community, and basically like raise more awareness. And the Nice brothers were specifically super excited about the product. A1, because we had dope art and also a blank slate to sort of build the story. Like, we had a base story, but we didn't have everything sort of planned yet. So they can come in kind of at the beginning and work with it. But also that, you know, when we take this show to market and we go to, you know, producers, distributors like Netflix, Amazon, HBO Max, Hulu, etc., we will be one of the first animated projects to have a built-in community. So, you know, why does company, you know, like you were working with Marvel, why does Marvel IP work? They have a built-in product. You know, they have video games already, they have comic books already, etc., a community base. So in Web3, you know, we've built, you know, a community of, I think, 70,000 on Twitter, 50,000 on Discord. And it's going to be really cool to build one of the first community driven stories. So our story is not only going to be written by, you know, like really big Hollywood producers, but with input from our community, via them watching in the Discord, and we have a lore chat in there. So it's really going to be a community built story, not just something that's 100% hand delivered to you and told.
Yeah,
which I think is a very first of its kind.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, things have been moving in that direction and are moving further in the direction. Shout out to a woman named Mignon Fogarty. She's a fellow podcaster. She has this podcast called the Grammar Girl Podcast. She was doing like pop sci podcast and then moved to just this grammar podcast that really took off, right? People just want to listen to grammar tips. They're like 5 to 10 minute grammar tips every episode, and built a huge audience and following. And sure enough, like all of a sudden, like publishers were coming to her and saying, we want you to make a book, and she's like, oh, and it's because there's just this huge value to already having that audience built. Imagine writing a book and you don't have any audience and you're just crossing your fingers. There's so much value to that. It's wonderful. And then you get to give back to them and help them co-create because you have that audience in advance. Really cool.
Yeah. And speaking of audience, like we got to, so many of our listeners, I think, are learning about this, for the first time. And we want to make sure that they know where to go to follow you, Jamieson, and Shellz Orb, and all this amazing stuff that's happening and a bunch of stuff that's forthcoming. Where should they go?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the best place to sort of find us is on Twitter. We're Shellz Orb, SHELLZORB. From there, you could get to the link tree, which will send you to our Discord, which is Discord or discord.gg/theorb. And there's going to be links to Instagram and YouTube, where you could find all of our like really high def 4K animations, proof of concept works for what we're building. And then I'm Jamieson Hill, spelled with an IESONHILL, everywhere. Around you on Instagram, Twitter, etc. You can find me.
Amazing.
Perfect.
We appreciate it. Everybody, make sure you head over there and check them out. Also, word on the street is we have a little giveaway planned for Shellz Orb. 5 unrevealed Shellz Orb NFTs, Binance eggs. Those are valued around 0.15 each, by the way, y'all. So keep an eye out on our socials for that. Very generous of you. We appreciate that. So community, get in there, keep an eye on our socials. We'll give you all the details on that giveaway. It's going to be really great.
Yeah. Jeff, Ethan, and Daniel, thank you so much for your time. It was great hanging out with you today, and really look forward to what you guys are doing over at VV as well. Super cool. I was listening to all the stuff today. Amazing.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Thanks for being here.
Appreciate you joining, brother.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
All right. Take care.